So it's kind of mid-May. We're in my home garden at the moment, and what I'd like to show you is that a garden doesn't have to be immaculate to be fantastic, and I love our own garden, I really do. Now it's all a little bit wild, not only have I not had time, but I don't really mind things being a bit natural. As you can see, the edges aren't done, but where things like this lovely geranium sanguineum is, all it really needs, as long as it doesn't smother it out too much, is to keep that grass away from that until I get time to do it. You can see the beautiful water irises in our pond, which has been a fantastic addition to the garden. Just starting to come through now. They are just spectacular and looking fantastic, brilliant for all sorts of insects. And other things like the hebe here, which is a plant we often use in a garden on a roll border. But you often see them when they gradually get bigger and bigger every year, and can end up getting fairly woody, and you end up sort of really having to take them out. So what I would say to you is any small leafed hebe like this, you can do it from April onwards, early summer, just give those a trim on the tips. What it does, it stops them coming too tall and it encourages more leaves lower down. So not only is it very relaxing and good fun, it means you can maintain this bush at this size and don't let it get any bigger. So hebes and other evergreens, you can easily, lightly trim them now. Now you may be thinking that this is a bit embarrassing for me as a garden designer to be showing you off, showing you my own garden in this state, but I don't really mind, because if you manage the plants after they flowered, then you can prevent them seeding. Like the green alkanet here, which is a really hard thing to get rid of. It's got very deep root, but actually the flowers are so great, I can't really get rid of it yet. So what I do is I wait till it finishes flowering, then it goes to seed, and that's the time you want to chop it back, let it regrow, or you pull the roots out. So I don't actually mind this at the moment. It gives me something to do over the weekend. I'll tidy this up later. Things like the buttercup is a brute and will take over the border, but quite easy to pull out. And again, it has a beautiful flower. So as long as it's not doing too much harm, I'm going to leave it in. But here it's trying to get in amongst my sedum, which is one of my favourite late summer flowering plants. So even though I love the buttercup, it can't interfere with my sedum too much. The green alkanet, I'm just going to trim away from there so it doesn't smother it too much. And if you look under here, you can see the sedum, the ice plant, which is really, really popular from July onwards with a flat pink flower. Butterflies absolutely love it. But I haven't even taken the old flowers off from last year, which generally you do about March, April. So I'm just going to do that now. In the winter, they look lovely actually. You can use them in dried arrangements. They're really, really nice. I love them. But as usual, I haven't had time to maintain this part of the garden properly. No matter, the plant doesn't mind. So in May, they call it a Chelsea chop, where you trim back perennials, which stops the upward growth and creates more shoots lower down, and it means you don't have to stake them later in the year. Now if I left this, it would be fine, it wouldn't mind at all, but it would grow tall, the flowers would happen, a bit of rain, it may flop over. So I'm going to do something a little bit brutal, which you may not like, by just trimming off the top maybe 10 centimetres. It will look bad for about a week until the new shoots appear, and that will prevent it getting floppy and need staking further down the line. So save wasting the ice plant stems, which would go nicely on the compost heap. I'm actually going to have a go at cuttings. Don't think I've done these before, but I don't see why on earth that shouldn't work. They're not too squidgy, they're quite solid. Taken off the bottom 3 leaves. It's worth having a go at home yourself. And then all you've got to do is stick them in. Ideally use a little dibber, can be anything. And I'm going to probably put in about maybe 15, 20 in that pot. And where the leaves were is where the roots will grow, and I reckon within 3 to 4 weeks, I'm hoping, the roots will come, and then this time next year we'll have about 30 new little ice plants. On the other hand, if they don't work, I haven't lost anything, and it'd be a good experiment, but I'm pretty sure that is going to work. So you may have heard about No Mow May, which I think is a fantastic initiative to stop us using fuel and unnecessarily energy on our gardens, but also let the grass grow a bit more natural, let the wildflowers and the seeds of the grass happen for wildlife. And in my case, I haven't quite done a no-mow because I've used the tortoises to keep this bit under control. So at least it's environmentally friendly, at least. Behind here, I've left nature take its course in this bed under the cornice tree. And there's all sorts of nice things that have appeared, which I've left, and I'm quite happy with that. And once they start going to seed and cause me a problem, maybe in about a month's time, I can pull those out and tidy the garden up. So really the thing is just to relax a little bit about your garden. Don't worry about impressing people or, you know, keeping it absolutely immaculately tidy. My garden's very natural. There's weeds and wildflowers everywhere, but it is important to keep in control of it so it doesn't actually totally take over. And that's what I'll show you in about a month's time. Another really neat idea is if you actually want to maintain a mowed lawn, which I kind of understand because I do love the crispness of cut lawn, a bit like just having your hair cut, it just feels good. But to compensate for that, what I've done here is to create a little island of wildflowers. So now I bought this on a mat actually, and there was a bare patch here where the grass wasn't growing, cut it in, and I think it's possibly one of the nicest things in my garden. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. We've got about 10 different species in there. Little violas, Bellis daisies, the Achillea will flower in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. And it's been a great little island almost in a sea of sort of lifeless grass, you call it. This has become a really great habitat for wildlife. Bees, hoverflies, all sorts of insects are using this as a little pollen stop. And I think I'm going to do a lot more of it. I think it's a fantastic idea that will look great dotted around your lawn of otherwise mown grass. Brilliant. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little May update. We'll be doing these every month. And if you'd like to ask any questions or any queries you've got about Garden on a Roll, please leave them in the comments.